Gojo is getting out of that box, and when he does, our villains won't have anywhere to hide. Just like when he was born, he's gonna flip the whole Jujutsu world on its head. But unlike last time, Gojo's gonna be pissed. We all know the second coming of Gojo is gonna be catastrophic. How catastrophic, you ask? Well, just think the Hollow Purple scene, but on a grand scale. In the Culling Games, we have curses running around, not to mention ancient sorcerers, and I would be lying if I said I didn't want to see Gojo pop out of that box and beat some ass. The hype around this event and Sukuna's full power is basically JJK's rumbling. Now, unlike Gojo's scene in the Exchange arc, this Gojo will not be one of arrogant happiness, but instead bitter anger towards Kenjaku and the others who have wronged him. The last thing Gojo got to do before he was sealed was watch his best friend's body be used like a meat suit by Kenjaku. Even though Gojo and Geto had a bit of a warranted falling out, considering Geto saw Harry Potter and thought, you know what, maybe Voldemort's right about this whole muggle thing. What we have now is a Gojo who has been stewing in the prison pot for we don't even know how long it's been for him, with nothing to really do except worry and reflect on the current situation. So, safe to say that when he gets out of the prison, he's gonna be doing a little bit of spring cleaning. Everything Gojo has worked his whole life for has been put in jeopardy. With the higher-ups' attempted assassination of Yuji without him, and their having murdered Principal Yaga, I think Gojo's done with half measures. Their kill order on Gojo is effectively useless if Gojo actually comes out of the box. And if Gojo does let the higher-ups live, I suspect they're going to be removed from power. That, or the higher-ups will just crawl back away into their little holes and hope that he gets sealed again one day. Throughout the series, we've seen Gojo's frustration with the world of Jujutsu, with the people he trusts the most being his own students. I believe seeing the current state of the world and hearing about the death of his friends will bring about a darker side of Gojo. Gojo's going to have to deal with the ongoing Culling Games or its fallout, and potentially Maguna as well if Sukuna still has his hold over Megami. But before we get to any of that, we're going to get to watch Gojo just lay out some ancient sorcerers in a spectacular fashion. I assume by that point in the story, if your name is not Sukuna and maybe Kenjaku, you're just fodder. At least as far as our villains are concerned. But it's definitely possible we get some characters to have their buffs, or maybe some returning characters like Mahito. I pray every day for my boy Mahito to come back. And I also wonder who that little patch face would take for me this time. Anyone who does survive their encounter with Gojo will likely be seeing purple every time they close their eyes. Now, I believe Kenjaku will be first on the chopping block, as he just seeks to undo basically everything Gojo has ever tried to work for during his entire life. Now, on top of this, I also believe that Sukuna will be our final villain in the series, and I'll get more into the reasons why in a future video. As for Gojo's release, I expect his release to come around the end of the Culling Game arc, or maybe a little bit after. Jujutsu Kaisen has always been a dark series, but I really think that the end of the Culling Game arc is going to be our characters at their lowest point in a very long time. And I think part of this is going to be a more jaded Gojo and a more no-nonsense Gojo than what we have seen so far in the series. And the wild card in this entire plot will likely be Sukuna. I do not see a world where Gojo and Sukuna don't wind up fighting at the end of Jujutsu Kaisen, and this confrontation will by no means be a small event or a rushed event in the series. Regardless of the winner, it's going to be the dramatic end of at least one of these two goated characters. While Jujutsu Kaisen is catapulting towards its end at a breakneck pace, I don't see Gege just tossing Gojo out of the box directly into a Sukuna fight. Considering Sukuna's leftover plot and his status as the Fallen, alongside some long-awaited major plot reveals, Sukuna and Angel also seem to have some serious beef, even though Angel may be literally beef as of making this video. And it just seems really unlikely that all these plot lines are going to get resolved before Gojo gets released. Now, I also think we should expect to see a 20-finger Sukuna before we see a released Gojo, because despite things looking rather spicy with Megami's body, I still think Gojo takes the cake over a 15-finger Sukuna. With all that said, Gojo's release is going to be a turning point in the series, and it'll probably put us right in the final arc of Jujutsu Kaisen. There's a reason Gege has been pushing it off for so long, because as it turns out, it's kind of hard to write around a character whose only main rival has to go on a series-wide finger hunt to compete with him. Gojo's absence from the story has basically been the catalyst for every single awful thing that's ever happened since the Shibuya arc. Prior to Gojo being sealed, he was always a bit of a checkmate on Sukuna that no matter how bad Sukuna really got or how many fingers Yuji ate, they were pretty sure Gojo could handle it. But ever since Gojo's sudden kidnapping, Sukuna has just been this ticking time bomb inside of Yuji that finally popped off in chapter 213. Gojo's presence in the story always gave the characters and the reader a sense of security and safety over the events that happened. Now, while I doubt Gojo will ever have that overwhelming feeling of safety around him again, I do think that he will give our characters a fighting chance in the final arc of the series. Or Gege could just kill everybody off, but this is a Shonen Jump series. You guys really think they're not going to milk it for everything it's worth? If Naruto can get like 20 fighting games and a couple dungeon crawlers on the DS, Jujutsu Kaisen is worth at least one. They can call it like Jujutsu Kaisen Rika's Riot or something. This is also the time I'd expect Yuji to get some kind of acknowledgement again from Gojo, like in the exchange arc. Now, despite Yuji's current status as an ornament on the wall, he is still most certainly alive, and he is absolutely going to get some kind of power-up before the end of the series. Considering Gege brought back the Cursed Womb arc, I can't see how it doesn't play into Yuji somehow. Now, I'm looking forward to a heartwarming reunion between Gojo and all of his students at some point in this, except for Megumi, considering he's currently trapped in Sukuna prison. Now, some people have brought up the idea of Gojo having his body taken over by Sukuna, but I just see this entire event exceptionally unlikely just because it's kind of a goofy way to end Jujutsu Kaisen or end its final arc. Gojo coming out of the prison realm and dying to something is one thing, but him going from the prison realm directly into another prison, not only would this seem like a retread of a previous plotline, it would also just rob Gojo of all of his agency going forward in the story again. But the overall most intriguing thing for me is how is Gojo going to react to Megumi being taken over by Sukuna? Now, even though Gojo cares about all of his students, Megumi is someone he almost feels a personal debt to after killing his father, Toji. And while I don't think Sukuna particularly cared about anything other than the Ten Shadows when he took over Megumi, but this presents a serious problem for Gojo. We already know that Gojo struggles to fight at full capacity when he's stuck dealing with the morals of his combat. We see this in the way that Gojo doesn't just confront Geto in Jujutsu Kaisen 0 when his students were in danger. And more importantly, we see it in Shibuya when he's around innocent bystanders who he doesn't even know personally and he's trying to defend them. But Gojo being even like 10% unwilling to kill Sukuna's vessel is a detriment I don't think he can afford. Now, I suspect that Gojo did not intend to kill Yuji either, even when he got to 20 fingers. Collecting the fingers seemed more as a way to get rid of their cursed energy from the world and pulling in curses around them. It seemed far more like Gojo was just trying to have Yuji use Sukuna's abilities etched into his body rather than just outright kill him once he's at the full power level. But with Megumi's inability to control Sukuna and him just running wild, unless Yuji or someone else is able to pull Sukuna out of Megumi, it's gonna fall to Gojo to have to eliminate his own student. But the way things are looking right now in the manga, Megumi's either gonna get free really soon, or he's gonna be possessed for the majority of the remaining series. And this is likely to be Gojo's greatest obstacle once he's unsealed. So, now I'm curious to hear what you guys think. Do you think that Gojo's gonna come back and wipe the verse, or do you think he's gonna get dumpstered like Dumbledore, or something else? Also, thank you guys a lot for the support on my previous video. That meant a lot to me. I had no idea there were so many Yuji fans out there. And I hope you guys enjoyed this one too. And if you like content like this, subscribe for more, because I'm going to be coming out with more Jujutsu Kaisen content on the regular. And if there are any other series you want me to cover, let me know in the comments below. And as always, I'm Quirkless Shinobi, and you guys have a great day. Thanks for watching.